Congress reached a compromise in a last-minute battle over the Fed's emergency lending powers, with votes in the House and Senate on a stimulus deal possible sometime today. Though an agreement isn't reached, lawmakers do not have one in hand yet, and it's possible that disagreements could arise again today and delay talks, which has happened repeatedly in the past. Lawmakers are tying stimulus talks to broader government funding legislation. They face a deadline of 12:01 a.m. on Monday to avert a government shutdown. Everybody tell me in the comments down below, will our politicians in Congress be able to pass a stimulus bill before the end of the year? And will they include our $1,200 stimulus payments? Leave a comment down below saying yes or no. Now folks, let's hear what Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has to say about the current state of stimulus. But before that, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notifications bell. On this channel, I provide you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information. So be sure to subscribe. And let's get this video to 1,000 likes if you think that Congress must pass more stimulus relief.
Bicameral discussion on another major pandemic rescue package continued all night and this morning. We're winnowing down the remaining differences. I believe I can speak for all sides when I say I hope and expect to have a final agreement nailed down in a matter of hours. Yesterday evening, our Democratic colleagues agreed to important language authored by Senator Toomey. Back in March, in the CARES Act, Congress funded several new emergency lending facilities to be operated by the Federal Reserve. Their purpose was simple: to backstop the basic foundations of our economy and prevent any kind of sweeping financial paralysis.
Now, McConnell says that Congress will finish the next stimulus relief bill within a matter of hours. Congress should finish a stimulus relief and government funding bill today, only hours before a deadline to avoid a government shutdown, according to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Lawmakers cleared the last major roadblock in the way of a deal when they reached a compromise over a GOP-backed plan to roll back the Federal Reserve's emergency lending powers. Still, they have not unveiled legislative text for the more than $2 trillion pandemic aid and spending package, with about 11 hours to go until government funding lapses. The House, which will move on any proposal before the Senate does, expects to vote by tonight. But according to NBC News, on Thursday, Moody's Analytics released its latest update on the shortfalls state and local governments are facing. It now projects state and local governments will face a total shortfall ranging between $330 billion and $470 billion through fiscal year 2022, pointing only to states. Moody's baseline projection is that those governments will face a $224 billion fiscal shock, down from a projection of $273 billion in September.
Much more help, but a total financial meltdown never materialized. These new emergency lending facilities were always intended to sunset at the end of this year. Senator Toomey and our Democratic colleagues have landed on compromise language that ensures this will, in fact, happen. It also redirects the dormant money in these accounts toward the urgent needs of working Americans and ensures that these expiring programs cannot be simply restarted or cloned without another authorization from Congress, all while preserving both the independence of the Federal Reserve and the proper authority of Congress. Yet another example of good faith bipartisan collaboration that has defined our discussions all week. At this point, we're down to the last few differences.
News goes on to say that the modest improvement is the product of a stock market rebound and a recovery that's projected tax revenues coming from those at the top. Already, roughly 1.3 million public sector workers have been laid off since the pandemic's onset, leaving the state and local workforce at its smallest size since 2001. On the other hand, state officials who spoke with NBC News pointed to the Paycheck Protection Program, expanded unemployment benefits, stimulus checks, and other assistance that have boosted state and local economies, though not near enough to solve their problems. Some states, including North Carolina, Colorado, Rhode Island, and California, have seen higher than anticipated early revenues this fiscal year. California, which saw revenues during the first 4 months of its fiscal year, come in more than $11 billion higher than anticipated, which is a 22% increase over projection. Still faces growing deficits over the next 4 years, according to the state's Legislative Analyst Office.
And while the resilience of the American people have brought along our economic recovery faster than expected, it will remain both insufficient and tenuous until the vaccines that will end this fight have been distributed all across the nation. For months, literally months, Senate Republicans have been calling for another targeted package to reopen the job-saving Paycheck Protection Program, extend federal unemployment benefits, fund K-12 schools, fund vaccine distribution, and get a lot more help onto the front lines as fast as possible. I'm relieved that we appear to be just hours away from legislation that will finally do that. When we get this done,
State and local governments in places where economies are heavily based on tourism or energy, or those with densely populated cities have suffered the most. And there is concern for governments more reliant on income tax revenue that next year. With filings based on the 2020 pandemic economy, there could be a substantial dip in receipts. And according to NBC News, direct relief to state and local governments is likely to get a second look under President-elect Joe Biden's administration.
Tensions high.
I am so frustrated by the inability of us to act like adults with responsibility.
Late Friday, lawmakers did manage to pass a short-term funding fix to keep government operations open through the weekend. That will allow more time to resolve differences over COVID relief.
constant discussions have been underway for several days now. As of right now, we have not yet reached a final agreement, regretfully.
Wrangling continues over specifics in what is expected to be a $900 billion COVID package that is likely to include enhanced unemployment benefits, direct checks, and rental and food assistance.
I would hope very much that this Congress appreciates the pain that is out there.
Democrats are pushing for a federal emergency management agency, disaster fund for states, as a way to indirectly deploy some emergency funding in this legislation. The amounts being discussed are nowhere near the hundreds of billions of dollars states and localities have asked for. Folks, tell me in the comments down below, who is to blame for holding back your second stimulus bill? Is it the Republicans or the Democrats?
Biden is expected to receive his COVID vaccine Monday, following other government officials, including the Pences and congressional leaders who are eligible under continuity of government provisions. In Delaware, Mr. Biden still has decisions to make to fill out his cabinet. Attorney General, a major opening.
With that being said, folks, that is all the news in today's video. If you found this video useful, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notifications bell. On this channel, I is provided with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information, so be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Thank you for watching, everybody. Until next time, have a great day.